Man, what is up, Cowboys Nation? Your boy Mike Tag here on what is today? Today's Tuesday. Man, this week's getting by fast. Just got home this morning from a long weekend at in Dallas and in Arlington and all points in between to Texas. Man, had a great time. If you guys are just hanging out, this is kind of an impromptu show. Just figured I'd do something. Still a little tired from the flight, from the long weekend, but, obviously a lot to talk about, a lot on my mind. So figured I'd just jump in live, hang with you guys. Going to be very low key. If you guys got some comments and things that we're going to talk about, definitely love your input. But if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe. Make sure you hit that like and share. We got a bunch of live shows, a lot of great interviews. If you guys are new, definitely check them out. There's some great ones that we had, some champions, and man, we're all in the need for some champions right now to go back down memory lane, man. I hate to say it, but hope you guys are all doing well. I had a great weekend, and really, Carl, I get it, losing weekend. Let me just tell you, when you get an opportunity to hang out with your son for from Friday to Tuesday, and you go check out one of your icons and guys you grew up with, and Mike Tyson. We had that show was great. I know the whole fight and everything, but that whole evening was awesome. It was a lot of fun. Then we head over to Playmakers and we just hang out with the Cowboys Nation crew, like Cuts and Mark, and Steph was there. I mean, was a great time. We had, we handled we did an impromptu Mavericks game. Checked out the Mavs and the Spurs. I hadn't been to a basketball game since Michael Jordan wore 45 when they played the Orlando Magic. That's how long ago it's been since I went. And getting the opportunity to hang out and talk some college football and some NFL with one of the guys I grew up watching. He broke McCain's heart. The man with the strip, George Teague, friend of mine, man. It's, can't complain too much. And again, hanging with Cowboys Nation, with Mike, with the whole crew. Obviously, Frankie. Had a great time with Frankie. Spent a lot of time with Frankie, my man Tuck. And getting an opportunity to talk to BB's dad. He was a great guy. Hey, we lost. I mean, I don't think many of us thought we had a chance to win. This team is just kind of broken, depleted. The culture's there. So I'm not going to sit here and going to cry and mope about it, man. I had a great weekend with my son. He's 20 years old. You don't know how many more years you get to have that kind of father-son time where it's just one-on-one where you get to hang out. So ain't no complaints out of me. And of course, hanging out with my man Mark. Can't forget my man Mark. How do I forget Mark and all the crew, man? It's been a lot of fun. And Cuts, we had some Cracker Barrel. We thought we were going to break the streak. I was undefeated at the Cracker Barrel, and we went there even, we pulled out all the stops and nothing helped. But, I was talking to my man Tuck and what's up, Game Time, Brian, and everyone else, Edgar, Jeff, all you guys, man. We're going to get into it and love to get some of your thoughts on think, but this season has an asterisk. I feel pretty good. I was undefeated at home last year. I think I was undefeated at home the year before, except for the first game of the season. Then I had a nice long, probably like a 13-game win streak on the road as well, undefeated. This shouldn't count. I don't know if you guys think that. This season shouldn't count. My Cracker Barrel streak, that's got to have an asterisk next to it. This shouldn't count because this has just been one cluster, of a season. Anything that could go wrong went wrong, will go wrong, probably continue to go wrong. So I don't know if we should be counting this season, because I got two more games on the slate. I got the Bucks. It's on Sunday night, which I think they're going to move that one. Breakfast was good. I'm going to take you to Jam and Toast in Capel. I learned that you're supposed to pronounce it Capel, Texas. That place, best pancakes I ever had. So anyway, I'm going to, I got the Bucks and I got the Panthers. And like I say, man, if I'm watching the game, I got to see them win. I'm not into the whole team tank, but they're probably doing a good enough job. They don't need me to be influence it and get people on that train. I think they'll do good enough with that. So hopefully maybe I can get to see get to see a win. I don't know if I ever win a season going to a game without seeing them win. That'd be pretty depressing. But we're gonna get into it, man. We're gonna get into it, and definitely, yeah. Jerry Jones is the asterisk, and that's what really we wanna get into, and yeah. Now we still watch. All you can do, really is you just watch and you look and see who's competing. I mean, who are the guys that are showing up, and who are the ones that kind of fold into, folded it up, checked out, collecting a paycheck. A couple of things I'm going to say. Now, I might be speaking from the heart so much, so don't, I don't want you guys calling me a hater and this and that, but I do have some things I want to say, particularly about Jerry Jones and things I feel strong about, of what they need to do to change, the culture and of this team, because it is broken. I'm not going to name names, but I've talked to enough people throughout the weeks, inside, outside, around the organization, been part of an organization of champions, this and that, to know that there is a problem with the Dallas Cowboys. And there's been a problem with the Dallas Cowboys. And, I broke out this little graph, and I even went back 20 years. But, I just, for argument's sake, you go back 10 years, the last 10 years. I mean, the Cowboys have been one of the most successful teams in the NFL when it comes to wins. I mean, they're there. And when it comes to, if you go back the last 20 years, they're like number 10. And if you go back 20, not 5 years, I think they're like number 11. This team, for a long time, has been able to sustain some wins and sustain success. And over the last, I want to say, and someone make a fool out of me, but I did do it. I'm going to see if I can open it up real quick. I'm sorry. I changed my graphic on one of the things and they didn't have it up. But I went through how many losing seasons has this team had in the last 20 years. And I think it's 3. And the 20th year would be this year. It's not over yet, but I think we can assume that they're going to have a losing season. So, I mean, you're talking about a team that's had success for a long time in the regular season. Now, that don't mean nothing if you don't win a Super Bowl. And, looking back in the last, 20 years, 13 teams have won Super Bowls. You had the Pats and the Chiefs have won 3 apiece. You have the Giants and Pittsburgh winning 2 apiece. And then you got a plethora of teams that have won 1 within the last 20 years. And the Cowboys are ranked in that top 10. Now, the only teams that they're with when you go into that top 10 that hadn't capitalized on their success are the Dolphins, the Cowboys, and the Vikings. So, what does that tell you? I mean, you've had teams that have success, but they just don't get it done. And some of that, a lot of it to me, goes down to the players. So I'm one of those guys that when it comes to playoffs, I hold the players a lot more accountable than I do the coaches. I think the coaches get you prepared, get you ready in the playoffs, but big time players got to make big plays in big games. And I think if we're all being honest with each other, the Cowboys in big games have not made big plays and not been taking advantage of their opportunities. Now, sometimes they just got beat by a better team. I mean, the San Francisco team, that they lost to last, they were a better team. I think the one before, probably not a better team. So there it goes with some of the issues with the Cowboys is sustaining success. They do, but they can't put it together. So to me, a lot of that comes to culture and it comes to psyche and it comes to that mindset of confidence. And this team, to me, always plays scared. And they wait for something to go wrong. Instead of going after the moment, they kind of sit back on their heels. And when things go wrong, it's like, oh, here we go again. But let me get on to Jerry. That's digressed a little bit. I apologize. I get into my little rants. But let's talk about Jerry Jones and the culture that he has in this team. And there's a poison in this team. I'm not going to say the C word because I never use that to describe anything. But there is a poison on this team. And it's within the locker room. It's within the organization. It starts from the top to the bottom. If the Cowboys were going to do anything this offseason, if they go get a coach. Now, I was against Belichick, but now I'm like, maybe Belichick could be what the doctor ordered with the right coordinators. I'm still not crazy about it, but as I look at this team and I've talked to more people, you need Jerry Jones has to hit rock bottom, and he might have hit rock bottom in the Texans game. I was at the game. It was a road game for the Cowboys. Make no mistake about it. It was a road game for the Cowboys. There were a ton of empty seats, and I give slack because it was a Monday night, so I wait, until that second quarter. There was still a lot of empty seats. So there definitely is an embarrassment that's going to go to this franchise. They have a Monday night game and they have a Sunday night game. Odds are both of those games could get moved, could be flexed out. That would be double embarrassing to the Dallas Cowboys and for the owner, Jerry Jones. So he has to hit the bottom where he's going to make just a total 180 move. And the 180 move is like he did with Bill Parcells. And when he went to Parcells, he went ahead. Parcells had control. Parcells got his guys in there. Jerry kind of effed it up a few years later, but at least it got some juice and it got the culture and it got that mindset back in the team. If I was the Cowboys owner, GM, first I'd fire myself as a GM and get a GM, but he's not going to do that. But I would get a coach. And if I was that coach, I would cut or trade one of my big players. Dak probably can't do it. CD, you can't do it. That leaves Parsons and that leaves Diggs. And I love them both. I don't want to see any of them go. But the message has to be sent that nobody is untouchable and shit's going to change. There has to be, you got to strike fear in the players. And I know it's different in the salary cap, but look at players who left and their careers kind of flame out. You don't want to test yourself and then be out of a job hoping you're going to jump on with another team. I think that's what they have to do. They're going to have to do something drastic to send a message. Now, will they do that? I don't know. But I think that's where they got to get it, because I could tell you for a fact there is a culture issue with this locker room within the team. There's guys that give a shit, and there's guys that really don't. There's guys that study their film day in and day out. There's guys that don't. There's guys that show up to practice and meetings focused and ready to go. There's guys that don't. And you can blame the coach. You could blame the coach. That's the easy blame. But it starts up higher because Jerry allows it. Jerry allows all of this to happen. I'm in business. I don't want to get personal on my job, but I'm in business. I've been in sales. I manage a team. I do this and that. I have accountability on my team, just like I'm accountable from the higher ups. It rolls downhill. If I know my boss man's got my back, the people below me know don't mess with me because it's going to be trouble. And I've got the authority. When you cut that middle part out and it goes from the workers to the owner, you lose it all. You lose it all. And that's what's happened. So Mike McCarthy is going to be the fall guy. He will take the blame. It's going to make all of Cowboys Nation happy. Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely he's stumbling and bumbling, hit rock bottom. I hope you're wrong about that one. But that's what's got to happen. You've got to change the culture of this team from top down. And listen, the beauty of the NFL, and it's been proven, look at the Broncos. Even you give Commanders their due, what they've turned around. Commanders changed the culture. I'll give them 100% credit on that. They got new ownership. They got a new GM. They got a fiery coach. They bring some rah-rah. They feel good. They get some players in there. They draft a young quarterback. They're winning. Now, I don't think they're as good as their record is, but that's besides the point. You'll win as a win. I ain't going to sit here and cry about it. What's happened to them is kind of what I said would happen. They'd lose to Pittsburgh. They'd lose to the Eagles. Thankfully, they get to play the Cowboys. That's kind of a tune-up game to get you ready. The Cowboys are 10-point underdogs. Do you know how hard it is to be 10-point underdogs in the NFL? Very hard. Not many teams are. That don't happen. At Vegas, NFL is a one possession league. So if that doesn't give Jerry Jones notice that he got some problems, then he ain't never gonna figure out. It probably should be 20. Edgar, the biggest mistake I made, and if I was in Florida, I was gonna do it, but unfortunately, I was in Texas, and on my Hard Rock sports book, I'm not allowed to. You can't bet outside the state. I lost money on the Tyson fight. The heart got the best of me on Tyson right before the fight. I told my brother to place a bet on it, and he did. So I lost my money. I was going to double down, triple down, quadruple down, taking the Texans, given the points, because there was no way in hell the Cowboys, with that offense that I saw last week and what I saw even early on, there is no way in hell that they were going to put up enough points to even keep it close. And the defense has played better. The defense, I don't blame the defense. The defense is depleted. The defense is dealing with 10 turnovers in 2 games. They're getting short fields. They're missing, fake punts and whatever other crap they're doing. That is the issue. Carl, if you're on Instagram, I don't want to be the mediator. Cuts is on Instagram. Just send him a message, because I know you're on Instagram because you harassed me. So just send him an Instagram, and don't even worry about my man Cuts. So anyway, you guys handle that business on the side. I'm like the negotiator here of all these bets and all these things. I hope I don't get in trouble by the IRS. I've watched enough. I watched enough Tulsa King. I know what's going on here. I don't want to be a gangster. I want to be a businessman. If you watch Tulsa King in the last episode, I'm not getting into that gangster mentality. So anyway, that's what really has to happen. Now, would it happen? I don't know. I mean, I don't know if Jerry would make that strong of a move, back off enough. He's never going to back off totally, but if he would back off enough to make it happen, I just don't see it. What I wish they would do is put McCarthy out of his misery and go ahead and you know what I'm talking about, Edgar. If you watch it, you know what I'm saying. Is just let Mike go. I mean, just let him go. I mean, this team, they haven't quit on him, and I think Mike's a good guy. I think he's a good coach. I think he's in a situation where he can't win. He's been set up to fail, and it's a disaster for him. And I just much rather, I mean, just like they do at the horse track when the horse gets hurt, man. Sometimes you just got to put him down, to save the pain. So I would have, that's what I would have done. Let's see. Come on, Mike. I know. You wonder what a couple players here, a couple players there. That's what I talk about with this team and being set up to fail. You think about what Jerry Jones did. We lost all our backups. And it's fine. Some of those guys, they go on. But you didn't replace them with anybody. They didn't replace them with anybody. And if you don't replace them with anybody, you're expecting your rookies to carry the load. You went into this game, I counted at one point in this game, they had 6 starters out. They had the quarterback, they had a receiver, tight end was out. They had 3 offensive linemen that started the season out of the game. That's more than half your team out, and most of them were all replaced with rookies. Unproven guys. That's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure, and it's really, it's unfair if you're preaching draft and develop. Draft and develop is you develop them and you put them in positions to have success, early success. There's just you don't just throw them to the wolves and just let them get annihilated. You know what I'm saying? So they went in, and that was their philosophy. And he says our philosophy is draft and develop. And they've done that for, I'm not going to say 30 years. I'll say it for 20, probably for the last 20 years. So what has it gotten them? It's gotten them a lot of regular season wins. They've only had 3 losing seasons. This will be 4 in 20 years. I mean, as a fan, if you're just an average fan, you're like, shit, I'll take that. They had 9 playoff appearances in 19 years. Don't have the playoff success. I think there were 4-9 or whatever it is. No playoff success. So that's a problem. You've got a shot. If you keep doing the same thing over and over, then what is that? The definition of insanity. So, What happened? Mike McCarthy coming back on a one. Yeah, I mean that would be the end. That would be the end. That would be the end. And that's it right there in a nutshell. At home, we talked about it at the tailgate. At home, you got embarrassed. Let's just call it what it is. We've said it a million times. I hate talking about it. Absolutely humiliated, embarrassed. You're double digits in the playoffs favorites, which I just talked about is so rare. Imagine in the playoffs how rare it is to be double digit underdog or favorite. And they got just run off the field and they did nothing. This is what I was kind of debating on Twitter with a couple of people. And I love debating. So don't ever think if we're going back and forth, I'm mad or I take offense to it. I don't know all the answers. That's why I'm on here. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Let's figure this thing out because I don't have all the answers. You might not have all the answers, but together maybe we can figure this thing out. And we've got 7 weeks off-season draft, all this stuff to kind of figure it out. But when they got their ass whooped at home, like my man, drove from New York said, what did they do to improve? They let their running back go, which is fine. Okay. If you weren't sold on Pollard being the lead guy, you let him go and you replaced him with it's no disrespect to Rico, but Rico's been a practice squad guy for years on this team. It's not like he was this free agent signing we brought over to someone or some high draft pick or someone young running back that we got. We've seen Rico for a number of years. You kind of knew what you got. They bring in Zeke. No big deal. If you're going to bring in Zeke, hopefully you're bringing in someone else. But if you're going to use Zeke on short yardage, pass, whatever it is, fine. No big deal. And then you've got Deuce Vaughn. You got Lipke. This is probably the worst running back room. No disrespect again, but just being reality, the worst running back room I've seen since the Troy Hambrick days. That's how far back you. I mean, we just have no running backs. And they said, well, why are you throwing the ball all the time? Well, you can't run the ball. I mean, if you can't run the ball consistently and then you're down by double digits, they pretty much takes you out of the run. But if they went out, Joe Mixon, you saw what he did to us. He was a free agent. Obviously, Henry, Barkley, they weren't going to pay for, but Barkley, I mean, you had so many, J.K. Dobbins, the other one who ran all over is Jones, who went to Minnesota. You have the kid who went from the Raiders to Green Bay. There was so many running backs that they could have gotten, and they didn't. And then you look at, Cooper. I mean, they had no choice. I mean, really, they had no choice. They weren't running the ball effectively. They had no choice. I mean, there's those teams. When I watch the games, especially when you go to the games, you can kind of see it more. There is zero respect on our running game. They don't care. They leave 4 there. They just laugh at our running game, and they take you out of the running game, and then you're putting on him. But what I would be doing, and you heard. McCarthy, and this is where I say is you get a little divide with Jerry and McCarthy is, he's like, man, I wish I would have got, Trey Lance, I regret not getting him in there. And then, Jerry Jones is coming out praising Cooper Rush and how great he is. And he's going to start the next game. And I'm like, didn't you trade a 4th round pick for Trey Lance? I mean, Trey Lance was a top 5 pick in the NFL. He's got more of a ceiling than Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush, you know what you're going to get. And I don't know if Trey Lance is going to be any good, but you're losing anyway. At least maybe get something. And maybe he's lightning in a bottle. Maybe he's something good. And then you get a compensatory pick that's higher because someone goes out and signs him because they had these great 4 games. I mean, I remember Rob Johnson back in the day. He got $25 million out of the Buffalo Bills over 1 game with the Jaguars. So, I mean, it's just, that's just the way Barkley didn't give it over 100 yards on us. What the hell are you talking about? Give me a break. God, I hate stupid people. Stupid people bother me. But anyway, they rush 3 now. Yeah, they don't respect their run. I mean, they could care less. They could care less about it. So that's the problem with this offense is our offense is built on the run. I mean, you look at last year, you look at the year before, they at least had threats of running game. Pollard still could break one off. Pollard still was respectful. He wasn't, top 5 run offense in the NFL, but they were at least in the top half. And the year before, they were top 6. And the year before that, they were top like 10 or 11. So it's always, they at least there. I mean, it's a passing league. It's starting to become a running league now, but it was maybe going back to my era, but it was, it's more of a passing league. So you understand that it's going to be a little bit heavier than that. But, that's been the whole problem. I mean, it's the whole problem with the way this team was built. We all kind of knew, all right, we don't know if we can run the ball. We don't think we're going to be able to stop the run, but maybe Zimmer can scheme it, and Zimmer's another one. How much blame do you really give Zimmer? I mean, go ahead and give him his heat all you want, but he's lost 4 defensive ends. They got no defensive tackles in free agency of any, value. They did bargain basement shopping at the very end, but they didn't get anyone that was young or anyone that you could throw in there. He's lost his, all-pro cornerback. He has his other cornerback coming off of ACL. They lose their third cornerback. They had guys out on that field, Monday night, and I consider myself a pretty big fan. I didn't even know who the hell they were. I didn't even know who they were on defense. So that is the other, the other issues, that you see is they just didn't build this roster up, and they set McCarthy up to be the fall guy, because what's going to happen, and I hope it doesn't, because I think the fans have been smart enough to see it now. Don't throw all the heat on McCarthy. Keep the heat where it needs to go. Keep the heat where it needs to go, and that's Jerry. You let McCarthy in here on a 1-year deal. Last year, the deal. No respect. No respect. How's he going to get respect of his team? He's on a 1-year deal. They know he's gone. You should have fired him after the Packers game or gave him an extension. One or the other. That's what they should have done. So, no, I don't think he would have been. I don't think, Casey, I don't think he would have been better. Absolutely not. I mean, we had trouble with Quinn with this team stopping the run, and Quinn got a lot of heat on it too. Maybe it's, I don't know if even that's deserving, because we lost all our linebackers and we didn't sign anyone. So the dude's playing safeties at linebackers because that's all he has. And I don't know, stopping the run with some safeties at linebackers, probably not a recipe for success. So the whole organization, from the talent standpoint and what they're putting on the field, that squarely falls on Jerry Jones, because he's the GM. Mike McCarthy might have a little input, but he doesn't make the final call. Jerry Jones says it every single time. I make the final decisions on everything. So the buck stops with him. That's what he always wants. So that's the way it is. But until he changes that, which he's not, I mean, we all hope that he will. It's not going to change. Yeah. Witten, that wouldn't be good. I mean, that wouldn't be good. And, you talk about the different coaches, and we, Kelly and I, we talked about it, before. Who could be the next coach? Vrabel is a guy I like. I think if you get him with the right coordinators, he's a guy that's going to bring some toughness to the team. He's going to be, he can change the culture if they allow him. But like I said, in order to change it, they're going to have to make some radical moves on the roster. And that means sending a message and get rid of one of their big guys. I hate to say it, but I just think you got to send a message. So figure out which one it is and send a message. Ben Johnson, I don't think Jerry is going to go for him. I wish he would. I think he's a great offensive mind. I don't know him that well, but I love plucking guys from really good offenses and good teams. I think that's great. They built a culture in Detroit. Obviously, Campbell being the head coach. That would be a nice matchup. I don't think that would happen. I don't think he's going to want to do that. But that would be pretty good pairing. But I don't see Ben Johnson. I don't see Jerry paying him that kind of money that he wants. He wants, 15 to 20 million. That's kind of the going rate. So he's going to have to get close to that if he's going to want to get any coach worth a shit. The other wild cards, that we talked about is Belichick, which is going to cost you. He definitely wants to come back and coach. He's not far away from breaking Don Shula's all-time winning record, and Deion Sanders. I don't know how you guys feel about either one of these. I would start with Belichick. I was dead set against Belichick. I want to go young, I don't want I don't want the retreads from the 80s and 90s. Um, but it could be a Parcells kind of play to where I don't know if I want Belichick over personnel so much, but I want him to have the authority to get rid of people. So that's a little bit different, right? So, I don't want him picking our draft guys, right? He didn't do a good job in New England. Let's be honest, especially the latter part of the years. Look at that roster's terrible, but I think he's one of those guys that would demand and get respect. And he's one of those no nonsense guys. So I think he could change the culture of this team. So I was dead set against him. Now he's starting to grow on me. And to Casey, Dion said he's not leaving. This is my only thing with Dion. The pluses with Dion, I think Dion would bring instant credibility within the locker room. I think he's a guy who's going to hold people accountable. I think what would worry me with Dion is his mindset, and he's a Hall of Famer. He's one of the greatest of all time at his position. If he sees some of the crap that's going on, with the team and with players, he may just want to get rid of people. And with the salary cap, it's just not that easy. So I don't know how he would relate to today's players and kind of some of their mindset and where it's at. Because you're talking about when you're the greatest at your position, one of the greatest NFL players of all time, one of the greatest athletes of all time, throwing what he did in baseball. His bar is very high. And, like he said when he went to Colorado, I'm bringing my own luggage. You can't bring your own luggage to the NFL. Doesn't work that way. And then I agree. That's my thing with Dion. I do not want Dion. I don't want the Cowboys drafting Shedeur Sanders and then having Dion as the coach. I think that's an absolute disaster. You want to talk about a circus that we have today? Imagine it later if he did that. And then we talk about nepotism. We talk about how the Cowboys, you got Steven, who's, what does he know about football and running a football team? He's vice president. He's the next man up. You got all the Joneses and the whole family in there. And I'm not hating. Hey, family business, do what you got to do. But when you get on the football field and your head coach is the father of the quarterback and he might have to get benched, he's getting criticism from maybe some teammates that come out in the locker room or media, and he's going to be defending him, or Dion's not doing that well at a coach and then he gets fired. And then, the son is the quarterback. Hey, man, put yourself in, if that's your son or that's your dad. Nah, you can't mix that stuff. You can't mix it. And I agree with you. You can't mix that stuff, man, especially at the two most important positions on a football team, a head coach and quarterback. It would be, I agree with you. It would be an absolute disaster, And appreciate all you 175 plus hanging in the cave on all our different platforms. Make sure if you love the cave, go subscribe to the cave on YouTube to your boy Mike Tag, because I need some hype from you guys because it's been a tough year. It's been a very bad year for Cowboys Nation. So head over there, hit that subscribe. If you're hanging in the chat now, go ahead and hit that like button. It definitely helps out. We got our live shows. We got Kelly and I will be doing a show. Hopefully I get back in town if in time tomorrow. If not, maybe we'll do it on Wednesday, or might have to see if my man Greg can pinch hit for me. And then Sunday we'll be getting back at it. We obviously got the Commanders and we're going to Washington, so we're going to get that. And if there's one game I want to win our division games because I don't want to hear nothing from those fans. And it's crazy. It's like even and hey man, I don't hate on fans cheering when they win. And the Texans fans and I don't live in Texas, so maybe it's just because it's two teams in Texas that really builds it up. But I mean, you would have thought they had won the Super Bowl when they were hooting and hollering, and the whole game, and they're beating up on and they really didn't beat up on them. The game was actually pretty damn close for about 2.5 quarters until that turnover that got run back. But it's like, man, you're beating the fans were lifeless. The Cowboy fans were lifeless in there. There was really, it wasn't like, there wasn't like there was anything, the Cowboys were hooting and hollering back. It was just, but even their website, their team website kept posting all these things, I guess, today. So I maybe it's a state thing. I don't know. But when the Cowboys lose, man, people love to beat them. I don't care if their Cowboys are 1-15, man. When they win, they would definitely love it. They would definitely love it. So my thing is, how in the hell do his children over the age of 50 not shut this down? I think Steven's calling a lot of the shots, so I think that is a lot of it, PJ. I think that's a lot of it. But I think Jerry, you could be we could be heading into, we talked about it at the game yesterday, we could be heading into Al Davis territory. And those are some rough years for the Raiders fans and for that organization. Yeah, I don't know if they're going to beat the Commanders. This is what I'll say. The Commanders' defense isn't that good. If the Cowboys were the Cowboys, I'd have zero doubt that they would beat them. I think if they even put in Trey Lance, they'd have a chance to beat him because the Commanders can't stop the run. Their defense isn't that good. Now their offense is pretty good, but Jaden Daniels, he's kind of hit a little bit of a wall, or he's faced better teams. He's faced better teams because his numbers aren't that good the last few games. He's been very, very below average. I mean, he's even like, if you put him and Caleb Williams stats up together, they're almost identical, but one's looked at as a bust and the other one's looked at as a savior. It's funny how that, winning a few games does, your team wins does that. So I don't think the Commanders are that good. I mean, but you're going to play Cooper Rush. I mean, my Miami Hurricanes probably can go out and stop Cooper Rush, and we have a hard time stopping anyone on McCain. So, but anyway, I don't know who I'd like at head coach. Yeah, I mean, so he would be a great fit at defensive coordinator. All I would say, JR, is whoever the coach is hired, let him hire his assistants and staff. That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen right now. That's not happening with Jerry. They had Kellen Moore when they hired McCarthy. They had Jason Garrett already hired before they did Wade Phillips, and then they picked this coordinator and that coordinator. So let whoever is the coach, hire the coach, let the coach do what he has to do, and go ahead, and if he wants to get rid of some guys, get rid of them. Every coach on this staff, all of them should be up to be gone. Like, I like Al Harris, but if the new coach wants him gone, gone. I mean, you have to clean the slate and let the coach bring in the staff that he wants, hire the people he wants. Now, I love Al Harris. He's from my hometown. I hope the new coach wants to keep him. I think he's a young, bright, up-and-coming defensive mind. I would think it would be great. But if he doesn't, I'm not going to hate on him. If the new coach comes in and says, hey, we want to get rid of Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb, yeah, fine. I mean, whatever. I'm not saying they're going to do that, but whatever he wants to do, that's what they have. They have to give that coach the authority, because think about when, like, Parcells, when he came in, he went after Larry Allen, and Emmitt Smith was gone. Two of the icons, and they were, both near the end of their career, but that was hard to do. I mean, Emmitt Smith was my favorite player. I mean, it broke my heart to see him in another uniform, but it's something that had to be done, and that's what they did. But you have to change it over. So you got to allow that coach to put his identity on that team. He's going to have his guys, and that if he has his guys in free agency, just like Quinn did. Quinn had his guy. Fowler has been his guy from Atlanta to Dallas there. And then Dorrance Armstrong, that was a guy that he liked in Dallas. He liked him. He brought him over. He brought over guys that he's familiar with over to that team. That's what that's what all these coaches want to do. I mean, the Cowboys, they really didn't do that with McCarthy so much. There was a couple guys that he brought over early on. What's up, Larry? What's going on, man? But you got to allow him to do it, man. So who do you guys want to see as the coach? The coach is gone. I mean, I think the whole place would be. I mean, Jerry's talking about things falling out of that building. He might have to tear that building down. The fans will tear it down for him if they keep McCarthy another year or extend him, which would be stupid after you didn't even extend him now. I mean, who do you guys want? Would you want to see a Belichick? Do you want to see it like a Ben Johnson, an unknown but a good offensive mind that had, that could maybe get some juice, some youth, some life into this team? Or do you want to go to a Vrabel who's going to be very consistent, who's going to be very steady, he's going to bring some discipline, but he's going to have those coordinators around him, right? It's all going to be key of what offensive coordinator you get. When you go defense on the coach, you better have a good offensive coordinator. You're going to be in trouble, and I don't think Deion's going to go, but would people be pissed off if Deion Sanders was the coach of the Cowboys? I mean, he would grow on me. I didn't, and I love Deion. So I just would rather it not be Shador getting, draft Travis Hunter, bring Travis Hunter in here and have Deion. I would be fine with that. I just don't want blood being the quarterback and blood being the coach, because that is just not good. Troy Aikman, I don't know if I want him as a coach, but he would be on my list as someone that I would look at to get involved in my organization. And probably Daryl Moose Johnson would be, maybe I'd have him even above Troy Aikman, because Moose has, what he did with the USFL, what he's done with the UFL, what, he's built, organizations. He built a whole league. I mean, he understands culture. He understands accountability. He understands all that stuff. So I wouldn't be upset with either one. I wouldn't be bad with either one. You could do a lot worse than Vrabel. I live in Tennessee, where he was a coach of the Titans, and he had them relevant. Yeah, he had absolutely, because he had them relevant. He had them competitive. But they didn't get the quarterback. I mean, you have the quarterback. You got Dak, and let's see what happens in the draft. I like Flores too. If I didn't say him already, Flores, I would love that if that was the case. I love Flores as a defensive coordinator, to be on his staff. That would be good. Or even as a coach. I thought he got a raw deal in Miami. But looking at the draft, I mean, the Cowboys, if there's a quarterback what if the Cowboys get a top 3 pick? I mean, the way they're going, they're going to have a very good opportunity to do it. I mean, if you got a quarterback, if you got a Shador, you got a Cam, or you got one of these guys that you really feel strong in, I mean, do you take a quarterback in the first round, even though you signed Dak Prescott to a 5-year deal? I mean, it always says everyone says you draft best available on your board. Best available on your board, no matter what position. You saw the Falcons, they did it with Penix. You saw the Packers did it with Rodgers when they had Favre there. And I know Favre was near the end of his career, but I mean, Dak is getting near the backside of his career too, really. I mean, he had a hamstring injury. How's he going to recover from that? You don't know. He's in his 30s. You don't know. I mean, you look at what the Chiefs did with Mahomes, and they had Alex Smith. So if the quarterback is there and they love him, I think you go quarterback. If not, I think they need to get a playmaker. I think you get the best guy. And if it's Travis Hunter, then I do top 3, go QB, anything under that, get a defensive tackle. See, I don't know if I go defensive tackle early. I mean, I just see so many defensive tackles that you get in the second to third rounds that end up being, studs. And I just think you can't miss. If you get a top 5 pick, you better not miss. I mean, we can go back to the Claiborne, that was a big miss in the top 6, right? We traded up. I think it was 6. We traded up to get Claiborne. He was going to be the next prime time, right? And all that kind of stuff. And that sets your franchise back. I think they if it were me, I would go best player available. If it is D tackle, I don't think you would have a D tackle rated that high in the top 5. But if it's a quarterback, fine. If it's a running back, fine. If it's a wide receiver, fine. If it's a cornerback, fine. I think you need pass rusher. I think you need one of those impact positions. I do not want to see the Cowboys go offensive line again. They go get some veterans to mix in with the youth that you have. I mean, Guyton's gotten better. He didn't play terrible last game. I wish he would have fell on the ground when he got that ball. But BB's been better than advertised. Martin is gone after this year. I mean, a Hall of Fame career. I just breaks my heart to see him putting his body through what he's putting it through this year for this team. And I almost wish that they would just say, man, just shut it down. I mean, there's no way to go out. I would love to see if they did that with Zach Martin, but he's not going to be back. I mean, Steele has been terrible. He's been the worst offensive lineman. You're going to have to go get someone. So really, what you have are three guys. You got BB, you've got Guyton, and you got Tyler Smith. That's pretty damn good. I mean, you're not going to have all pros at every position, but you got an all pro in Tyler Smith. You got a guy that you hope will develop into a Pro Bowl player in Guyton. BB's been rock solid, but he's a guy that always played guard. So he may, if Zach Martin goes, then maybe you slide BB over to guard, and then you could put Bass at center, or you get a veteran, and then you go out and sign a veteran right tackle. And you've got Richards, you've got Hoffman, you've got depth that you can continue to develop, but go out and get a couple, just veterans. Like I said, you don't need an all-pro at every position. We've been rebuilding our offensive line for 20 years, it seems like. So, yeah, I know Jerry's not going to empower. I think he would empower a guy like Belichick. I think he would. I think he would empower him. Not on player personnel, but I think he would give him authority. Again, you got to think back, rock bottom, you got Parcells. Parcells, he did give him that empowerment. He did back off. Parcells brought his guys in and got rid of Jerry's guys, sent a message. I think that's the only. Now, how long that lasts, I don't know, but that would be the only one that I would see. And anyway, let's see. We've got my man. That's the problem. Tag Jerry doesn't go and spend money on free agency. No, and that's the problem. And again, that comes down to he's got to change his ways. He's got to change his philosophy. Now they're going to have a lot of money left over. They got the Dak and CD reprieve. They're going to have, more than likely Zach Martin. You're not going to have Tank next year, more than likely. You're going to have a lot of freed up money that they can go out and again, they've just got to fill some holes. I mean, they still got a lot of talent on this team. They need a culture change, and they need more talent in some key spots. And that's I mean, that's it. And you look no further. Like I said, go look at the Broncos. I mean, they were in cap hell. They had no roster, and within 2 years, they lost their draft picks, right, with the whole Russell Wilson thing. Within 2 years, they're fighting for a playoff spot, and they basically had the Chiefs beat, not for a block extra point. The Commanders have been the laughingstock of the NFL for all these years. How many years has it been? And they've turned it around and are competitive. They're not there yet, but you can see they're building something to get back. But that was a quick flip of the switch, and things went 180. The beauty of the NFL, as long as you got a quarterback, you can turn it around quickly. You can turn around. If your quarterback play is good, and you're seeing it with Bo Nix, he's getting more confident, and he's the forgotten one. A lot of people are throwing Daniel's name out there for offensive rookie of the year. I mean, don't sleep on Bo Nix if they continue to keep doing what they're doing. So the Rams, same thing. All the draft picks, they won a Super Bowl, and they're competitive now. They're not terrible. I mean, they're not winning the Super Bowl, but they've got their team back. They got Puka, they drafted, they got all this stuff. So it can be done. So that's, at the end of the day, they got to change their philosophy, but more importantly, they got to change the culture. And the only person that can change the culture of this team is the man up top. If he don't do it, it is not going to get done. And that's just the way it is. And yeah, I mean, you're looking at the NFC. It is, and it's another sad thing for the Cowboys. And there's a list of teams that, you kick yourself anyone in the NFC because it's Detroit and everyone else. There's a bunch of average football teams in the NFC. I mean, San Francisco, average. Philly, average. Washington, below average. Atlanta, below average. Arizona, average. You have a bunch of Green Bay, slightly maybe above average to average, depending on, how they're feeling. Minnesota, below average. You got a bunch of that, and it's another wasted opportunity because Jerry Jones did not do anything to improve this roster. The roster got worse since last year, and that's at the beginning of the year. That's not today. Of course, we know what all the injuries. You have to take advantage. And absolutely, Casey, taking advantage of the opportunities and the windows you have, and the Cowboys don't do it, and they don't do it. And it's unfortunate. Like I said, you go back 20 years and you look at I went through in the top 10, and the only teams that didn't capitalize on those opportunities are the Vikings, the Cowboys, and the Dolphins. Every other team in the top 10 wins over the last 20 years has won at least one Super Bowl. Some have won 3, 2 have won 3, 2 have won 2, and the rest have won 1. I mean, take it. You see those opportunities, you got to take it. And the Cowboys have not been able to do it. And you can go back a couple years. Remember, we talked about the run defense and linebackers. They didn't do anything to address it. The trade deadline, you could have dragged, those linebackers out there for trade. There was defensive tackles that they could have got, and they didn't do anything to address it. They didn't, it's like, oh, we like our guys. If I got to hear we like our guys one more damn time, I'll break my laptop. You understand what I'm saying? So it's tough. But anyway, I am tired. But like I said, a lot of people, they joke with me and they say, man, you're part of the problem. You went to the game. My game, my tickets. Let me break it down to you guys so you understand. I don't live in Texas. My tickets, season tickets, are paid for in July. So I got no choice. I already paid for them. Jerry got his money. Now, in order for me to travel smart, I've got to book my flights. I got to book them well in advance. I got to book my hotel. I got to book my room, hotel room. I got to book my car. So I'm not going to throw all that money away to prove a point and not show up to the game, just have someone else take my seat. Don't work that way. So now what I've done, last year I went to eight games. I went to almost every home game. So I would have been 7 home games, 2 road games I went to. This year I've gone to 2 games. I'm going to 1 more, and then I'm going to thanks, Cat's all he's got my ride, so I won't need a rental car. I'm good with Cuts. I'm going to the Panthers and the Bucks. That's it. And I'm going to the Bucks because I'm going with friends, and I'm going to the Panthers because my man Cuts wanted to hit a road show, and we got Doug, and we had such a great time with that tailgate. It's like, do it again. So it ain't easy. So I get all you guys, man. Don't show up. Don't do this. Send a message. I respect it, man. I respect it. And it's like I said, if you guys want to send a message and you get a bunch of people together, I'll walk out in the first quarter with you. We'll empty out that damn stadium, and then all the media will come to the parking lot. We'll be hanging out, having some food. We'll get Cuts on the pit. We'll be hanging out. We'll be eating, and then they can come ask us what the hell's going on. Why is that stadium empty? But I'm not going to continue to throw money down the drain to prove a point to Jerry Jones by not showing up. So I'm going to go. I'm going to make the best of it. It's like I tell you guys, the best part of my trips is hanging out. I mean, I showed you the pictures earlier, hanging out with my family, hanging out with friends, hanging out with, Cowboys Nation, that family. That's all I care about. I mean, going to the games is, to me at this point in my life, man, that's icing on the cake. That's icing on the cake. So I'll leave it at that. We're going to be live. We're going to be live either tomorrow or Thursday, but one of these nights we're going to get into it. And guys, man, we got a long 7 weeks. So we got to get this thing together. We're in this together. We got to savor any victory that we can get. I know tank season and all that kind of stuff, but I just can't. I can't go into a game hoping we lose. It'll take care of itself. The draft position will take care of itself. All I would say is you just need to, make the best of everything. Cowboys fans can stop going, but visiting fans will show up. That's exactly what it is, James. I got my Giants tickets are for sale. So I sold them. My Bengals tickets for sale. I'm selling them. And I guarantee you who's buying them are those teams, because the Cowboys ain't buying these tickets right now, I could tell you. So anyway, appreciate it, Cuts. Had a great time. Let me show you this. I took some pictures. I'm going to put it on there, but if you guys didn't see it, you saw it in a picture. This is what my man Cuts does. And I'll be biased. He does it for the Hurricanes. He does it for the Cowboys, but he'll do it for any team except the Eagles, I think. I don't know if he still has that policy. Maybe now, their money's green too, so maybe he'll go ahead and do that. But any of you guys that have a favorite sports team, favorite family memory, this is what he does. And I'll give another shameless plug, and hopefully I don't break anything. This is when I met Cuts. This is the very first cut he did. This is my family at our very first Cowboys game as a family. This is the first game we went to. I had this picture, and he's like, man, I'd do anything. I'm good. I said, well, let me give you a challenge. I said, I got this family picture, man. I would love to get something unique that I can remember. And that's what he does. So I'm just telling you guys, if you want to support family, that's a way to do it. And you get your money's worth. He can do, I don't want to speak for him and say he can do anything, but I guess he can do anything. I hadn't seen him do anything. I hadn't seen him not be able to do anything yet. So I'll leave it at that. But you can find him on all social media platforms. Very simple. Cuts by Jones. And if you don't know, then just ask somebody. You can ask me and go ahead and send me a DM, and I'll get you linked up with him. But he does beautiful work. You see the U behind me. He did the hands for me. And he also did an unbelievable Sean Taylor, one of my guys from the U. Love Sean Taylor. And I got that in my little sports cave. Not my Cowboys cave, my sports cave. So anyway, I appreciate it. Casey, thank you so much. I appreciate you. All the great comments and interaction from everybody in here. James, Jeff, Edgar, Cuts, even Carl, all you guys, man. I appreciate it. 195 of you guys still hanging in the cave. Make sure you come over, hit that like button, hit the subscribe if you hadn't subscribed. If you're down in the dumps, I'm going to tell you this. You're down in the dumps, go in our playlist. Go back and watch some of the interviews we did with Cowboys legends. That'll pump you up. We're talking Super Bowl champions from the 90s, Super Bowl champions from the 70s, Super Bowl winning coaches, Super Bowl national championship coaches, Heisman Trophy winners. I mean, we had it all in the cave, and I'm going to get some more of that going. I usually wait to the offseason, but shit, man, the offseason might as well start now the way things are going. But going to get that back out there. My favorites, obviously Kevin Gogan. If you guys haven't seen that one, definitely check it out. The very first Eugene Lockhart is probably one of the best ever. Obviously Tony Hill, Bob Lilly. We had Barry Switzer, Charlie Ward, Coach Erickson. If you're a Canes fan, I mean, we've had so many legends. Charlie Waters in there. Craig Morton talking about the Staubach days with them going back and forth and Tom Landry shuffling. So if you want to get a history lesson of the Dallas Cowboys, go check out our playlist and check it out. So I appreciate it. Thanks for the love. Thank you, Cuts, man. Had a great time. Can't wait to do it again. We're going to have some fun. Maybe disappointed in the end, but we're going to have some fun. And we got the wives going to be out there. The family's going to be out there. So we'll definitely make it a special weekend and have a good time. I appreciate all the love from you guys. It's been a tough season. The hype videos ain't going to get very hype. I'm thinking about, I might have to go on the IR, but we're playing Washington, so I got to talk some shit. It's going to come back to bite me, but I'll be damned if I'm going to sit here and roll over and let these Washington Commanders come in and sing and chant and do all this shit without any response. So it may come back to bite me, but I will be dropping a hype video for them Commanders because a little brother is going to have to hear it, and I just need my Cowboys to dig in deep. One time, I know you guys want them to lose, but please find a way to beat them. I appreciate it. You guys take care. Have a good one.
Give me somebody that's hungry. Give me somebody that's hungry. I need some.